I wanted to capture a demo of a couple pieces of software that I wrote that allow developers to experiment with this alternate workflow of working with CashFusion and CashShuffle to generate large anonymous UTXOs. So, for those who aren't familiar, CashShuffle is a protocol based on CoinJoin that's been very successful in Bitcoin Cash and is implemented in the Electron Cash wallet. Sorry, that's CashShuffle. CashFusion is sort of the next generation, and CashFusion was originally created as a way to consolidate some of these smaller UTXOs that get left behind after a shuffle without linking, without having any negative privacy aspects. But it turned out to be more powerful than that, where it could do these sort of fan outs and fan ins in different styles. And anyways, the different options that you can use CashFusion for are still being explored. So this video focuses on the desire to create large UTXOs at the end of this process, which is traditionally like if you I want to point people to a previous YouTube video that I created called Consolidating CoinJoin, and in it I walk through a couple examples of typical Bitcoin transactions and how anonymity is lost in Bitcoin transactions, and I dub it the dust problem, where you get these small UTXOs. And so, like I said, CashFusion was originally created as a way to deal with these small UTXOs that are left over after cash shuffle. So what this workflow does is you would deposit money. There's two wallets running on two separate machines, one running CashShuffle and one running CashFusion. And you would deposit money in the CashShuffle wallet, like say a large deposit. CashShuffle would go to work and start shuffling it, and then it's going to end up with small UTXOs. And let me just show you what that looks like. Here's an example of this wallet. It's got, in total, it's got 0.25 BCH, so about $100 at today's price, which is $384. If I look at these coins, this one's shuffled, this one's in the process of being shuffled, this is also in the process of being shuffled. These last three, these are arranged by size of the coin, and these last three are pretty small. So this one's 0.1, so at a price of $383, 0.1 is about $38. So to do a transaction, this wallet's going to probably end up combining some of these UTXOs to make up enough, to make a payment big enough for a normal type of transaction, and that's going to link these UTXOs, and that's going to leak privacy because anyone can then look at the blockchain and know that I own these three different addresses that contain these three different UTXOs, say if these were combined. So what this app that I'm going to demo does is it would automatically, you'd set a threshold value, say below 0.1, and it would automatically send any UTXOs in here that are below that to a second machine running CashShuffle or CashFusion in the consolidation mode. So let me again show what that looks like. I have a second test machine running on another computer, and I've got remote desktop, and I've got it set up here, and you can see I've done a few fusions, and I'm using the latest version of CashFusion, which you can find here at C3Soft, and I'm running in Ubuntu. Both of these systems are running in Ubuntu, and so here's what I'm going to do for the rest of the video. I've got this outline. I've already talked about the privacy basics, and I pointed to this existing YouTube video called Consolidating CoinJoin. I'm going to walk through the README and installation of this software, and then I'm going to give a demo or actually maybe I'll just give the demo first, and then I'll walk through the README and installation, and then I'll walk through the code. So okay, there we go. So I'm kind of gonna do the demo now. Okay, so here's the remote desktop running a second wallet that is running in CashFusion, and I'll show the wallet settings. I love this new UI, by the way, Kaylin. Where is my wallet settings? Wallet Fusion settings. There we go. So I have it in consolidation mode. Yeah, I'm just doing 2 players. I've been kind of playing with that. But what's nice about this is this wallet runs 24/7. It's on a separate machine, and it's dedicated to being a CashFusion wallet. So it's constantly out there trying to look for fusions, which is important because there's low liquidity right now. But because this is in consolidation mode, it's trying to only have 10 coins. As I send coins to this wallet, it's going to try to consolidate them into bigger and bigger coins. And when they're bigger, then I can forward them onto my CashShuffle wallet, back into my CashShuffle wallet. And so at the end of this that workflow, all of the small coins get consolidated into big coins, and those big coins, they go through several stages, so they're pretty anonymous when they end up back in the CashShuffle wallet. They've gone through 2 shuffles and a fusion. And then this wallet is constantly getting replenished with like large spendable coins. So let me give you the demo, or let me point out the code. There's the Shuffle Manager is the app that sends the money, and EC API is a REST API that lives on both machines. So I have 1 copy running here on the local machine, and I have 1 copy running on this remote machine. and so it's just a REST API, and then the Shuffle Manager uses the REST API, or so this REST API is a wrapper for the actual Electron Cash wallet app. So this has to be running, and then this Shuffle Manager app will use that API to interact with these wallets and shuffle and send the money around from the CashShuffle wallet to the CashFusion wallet. So let me just give you a quick demo. This is the remote machine. It's this machine right here. I'm logged in with SSH, and I've got the API running. You can see the output here. This is the same API but running on my local machine. And then in this window here, I've got the Shuffle Manager app, and I'm going to run this, and this app will talk to these 2 APIs. And what it's going to do is, let me actually just go to the code. This is the app here. It's written in JavaScript. All this is written in JavaScript. It's going to get all the small UTXOs that are under a threshold, and I set that threshold at 0.1 BCH. So anything smaller than 0.1 BCH, it'll get those coins or UTXOs that are smaller than that threshold value. And for each one that it finds, it's going to get the address for it. It's going to it's going to get a new unused address from the CashFusion wallet. Then it will grab the address that's in one of those small UTXOs. It will generate a transaction to send that UTXO from the CashShuffle wallet to the CashFusion wallet, and then finally it will broadcast the transaction. And so that's all the app does. And so we can see in this wallet, and I'm not sure how this is going to work because it looks like some of these are in the process of being shuffled. And so I don't know, and like this one's frozen, that's why it's blue. And so I don't know if this program's going to error out, but it's going to try and spend these smaller UTXOs and send them from this CashShuffle wallet into the CashFusion wallet. So let's just see what happens. So there's the small UTXOs. And so it's generating a transaction. There's a TXID, so it broadcasted it. And see, some of these, one of these is, yeah, this one's frozen. So it might puke when it hits that one. I haven't tried this like this. I mean, if it errors out, it's fine. Yeah, there you go. So there it errored out. But the idea is this app could, I could just catch this error now that I know about it. I could just catch it and continue. And then I can also set the app to run periodically. That's what I have commented out here. So there's a lot of different ways you could run this app, but that basic functionality is there. And now I think at least one of those transactions made it. So yeah, here's the one transaction that made it. And then if we go to the remote desktop, go to the history, we can see there's the one that landed. So that was just like a send max type of transaction. And it's paying 1 Satoshi per byte, so the minimum fee. And so that's the idea. Let's go back to the outline. So let me walk through, if other developers want to play with this code, let me walk through that. So here's the API first, EC API. I talk about, so Chris Troutner / EC API. I talk about the COA API boilerplate. So if you have used Express.js to build a REST API before in Node.js JavaScript, COA is sort of very similar to Express. It's written by the same person. It was intended to be its successor, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. And there's only, I linked to the one section of code that is different from the boilerplate. The only part I added. And let me show you what that looks like. That's this code here. In the, you can just click on this link, but it's in the source modules EC folder, this controller and router. These are the endpoints, so you can get an address, get an unused address from the wallet, get UTXOs from the wallet, send a UTXO, ask it to generate a transaction, and then broadcast a transaction. And if you go to the controller, the other file in that folder, this is the actual code. So there's a few more comments in here. Get an address, get an unused address, get balances from the wallet, send a UTXO somewhere, and then broadcast a transaction generated by this send UTXO function. So like I said, that runs on each machine. To install it, you clone the repo, go into that new directory, install the npm dependencies, install Mongo database if you don't have it already, and then npm start. And the other file you need to edit is this common.js file. It's in the config I missed that there, config env common, and you need to tell it the path to the Electron Cash application. Here I'm in Ubuntu and I'm using the app image, and also the wallet file that you're going to open with that app. And so that's what you need to customize this for each of the machines, the one running CashFusion and the one running CashShuffle. And that's all you have to do. Then you're up and running. You can just run one on each machine. And then the Shuffle Manager app, which is what you'd run on your main computer that's running your CashFusion or CashShuffle, which is how I'm using it at least. You could use it. There's different ways you could use this. But, I thought I updated the... Basically, I'll put better instructions here, but it's very similar to this, where you would clone it, enter the directory, run npm install to install your npm dependencies, and then you'd run npm start. And you'd want to make sure you have the API running on both machines first, just like I showed you, and then you should get the same kind of output that I was showing earlier, where if you have UTXOs in your Electron Cash wallet that are smaller than the threshold, which is 0.1 by default, it'll try and send those to the other wallet. And it'll use the API to pull an unused address for each transaction. So it's always sending to a new address and following those privacy best practices. And yeah, so I'm interested to see if anybody else goes to the trouble to install this software and run it this way. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, it's the end result that I'm getting are large anonymous UTXOs. I'm not really creating any patterns. I can set that threshold to be whatever I want, and as the price of Bitcoin Cash changes, I'll just change that threshold appropriately. And the coins themselves are just whatever they happen to be after a shuffle. So there's not really any pattern there in terms of the price. The only consistent pattern is the one-to-one spend transaction from the CashShuffle to the CashFusion, but that I don't really feel like that's any significant privacy loss there. So again, like some people have argued that you can just use CashFusion for this. You don't need to use this elaborate Rube Goldberg machine. But what really appeals to me here is the consistency of the output. That's what's really nice to have.